Hey, how's it going everyone? My name is Joel and my internet name is NobodyEpic. And my grandma's afraid of the internet, but I protect her from it because I'm a great-grandson and I love her. Well, I'm just her grandson, but I'm a great-grandson, not her great-grandson. I don't know, it gets confusing. But this series is Unprofessional Advice, a series where I can reply to you guys' comments in the videos and connect with you. And for some reason, I have this inner desire to always have some video on my channel where I can express my feelings and be an emotional waterfall that just rains down upon the heads of my subscribers. It's very odd, and maybe this is like a form of video therapy, but maybe more real therapy would be better to not have to do this. I don't know, but I like to connect with you guys, so I'm just messing around. I don't know. I like to give my opinions on things, and it's important to me for you guys to feel like you can get to know me a little bit, even if it's just through one video series and all my other stuff is silly and nonsensical. So that's what this is, and we're going to get into some comment feedback right now to start the video. First things first, this guy says, for future reference, please don't ramble in the beginning. Well, I do like to ramble, and this series is an adaptation of a previous series I was doing on this channel called Awkward Situations, where I would reply to people's awkward situations and try to relate to them and how they've happened in my life, because I've had some life experiences and I'm kind of an awkward person, so I feel like I could relate to those. But in this series, it's a little more freeform, where I want to kind of talk more at the beginning, and then the situations don't necessarily have to be awkward or weird. It's just things that are on people's minds and on my mind. So if you don't want to hear me just ramble at the beginning and talk for a few minutes, I'll put a link at the top of the description that says, like, click here to skip rambling, and it'll tell the timestamp of when I actually reply to something. And oh my god, I'm getting a phone call. Sorry about that, and sorry if my ringtone is offensive and or not manly enough. I just took a 45-minute break in between when I last recorded and when I'm now recording. I got cookies delivered to me. It is 1:36 a.m. in the morning. I live in a place that delivers late-night cookies, and yeah, God is real. No, I don't know. It is a beautiful, wonderful thing, and I like to take advantage of it whenever I can. And I'm sure if time travel is invented in like 2055, my old self will come back in time and smack my younger self for filling up our arteries with sugar and junk, and I'll probably have a heart attack, but I hope not. Anyways, more comment feedback. Hey, nobody, can you get rid of your face cam because it's stupid, but it's whatever. And normally I block out names, but Sugar Water Purple is an awesome name, so I'm not going to block that out, and I appreciate the feedback. I'm actually not wearing pants right now, so I didn't want to have a face cam on anyway. If you guys want to see a face cam, if you don't, I guess leave comment feedback so we can make a finalized decision on that. And either way, I probably won't wear pants, but I'll just have to be extra careful if I'm not wearing pants, because I don't want to start some situation and get some reputation in this beautiful nation. Okay, what did I want to talk about? Oh, I saw a good video on YouTube today. Jericho uploaded this video where he talked about how people get really mad about things nowadays, and I'll link it in the description if you want to watch it, but please don't comment something like, NobodyEpic sent me here, that shit is so cringeworthy. I don't know, I just, like I said, it makes me feel weird for people to put my name all over things. Anyways, to talk about the topic, it seems like people get offended more easily nowadays. And I think it feels that way because of the amount of social media that exists now with apps like Snapchat and Facebook and Twitter. It's almost cool to be offended or to be upset about something. And I know I've been a part of this too. Some small little thing will bother me, like I'm at Taco Bell, and I haven't been to Taco Bell in a while, but just as an example, I'm at Taco Bell and they burnt my chalupa, and I'll tweet out, motherfucking Taco Bell burnt my chalupa, hate this place, like hashtag H8 this place, just to be cool, I don't know. While at the same time, there is people in the world who don't have clean water to drink, and my problem is my chalupa is burnt. So that's really messed up, and I'd like to get you guys' opinions on why you think people are so upset. It's especially relevant now when there's stuff going on in Baltimore. Race relations are really tense at the moment. It'd be interesting to have like a race relations meter where you can just go to like racerelations.com to see where it is on the tense meter, if it's real bad or things aight right now, things aight, or like, you know, everyone stay inside and don't talk to anyone because we just can't get along. And I don't know, that issue's a whole thing. I don't want to go into a big talk about it, but it's definitely going to be a historic moment. I feel like will probably be remembered, but maybe not, because I saw something on the Daily Show about how many it's not funny, but how many like race-related riots or tense issues have happened over the past 10 years, and you kind of watch it and you're like, oh yeah, that did happen. So maybe it'll just be another thing we forget, and maybe nothing will change, but I hope it could change. I just am very doubtful it could change in an environment where everybody gets offended really easily and everybody reacts negatively to the discussion, and it feels like you have to either be so far on one side of the discussion or so far on the other side of the discussion you can't even take a side. And I know I even tweeted something about how I felt upset for a local business that had been destroyed, but I did have a lot of people tweeting at me like, what's worse, a local business being destroyed or somebody of color being essentially executed? And this happens a lot. And so it just kind of makes me step back and realize that it's tough to see both sides equally. It's like for the majority of people, you won't be able to relate to one side or the other, because I'm always, and I don't want this to sound racist, again, going back to the offensive thing, I'm always going to be white, and I'm always going to have the background that I've had, and people of a different race are always going to be that race, and they're always going to have that background they have. And we live in a world where you're judged by that, because we're visual people, we are visual beings, we see something and our brain classifies that as this thing. So it's really hard to break that, and I'm going to be interested to see how our generation deals with it, I guess. You know, the last generation, it's been, let's give it a C+. I don't know what you would rate that, but sorry I rambled way longer than I normally would, but we're experimenting with different things with this series, so now I'm going to get into replying to some stuff. Alright, so I saw these two comments that were kind of related, and I wanted to respond to both of them, and I'm responding to this one first because it gives you my frame of mind for the second one. Maybe I'll just answer so you can get what I'm saying. It says, Joel, I know you are an atheist. Can you give your take on being an atheist in a society that is overwhelmingly religious? Talk about how your family has reacted to it as well as your friends and peers. It would be cool. Keep up the great work. Thanks. So I wanted to reply to this one and say that I don't really feel like an atheist. I think it's weird that and I don't want to sound like a hipster barista, but I think it's weird to just have this incessant need to group into, I'm religious, I'm this, I'm that, and just group all of ourselves into categories so we can understand each other better. Forgive the puns for what was happening, what I was talking about in the previous part of this video, but not everything is black and white. I think there's gray areas, right? And just to kind of explain my background so you can get an idea of where I'm coming from, I went to a Catholic elementary school until I was 11, fifth grade, and then I went to public junior and high school. So I have a good mix of, I guess, different religious and educational backgrounds. And my parents are kind of religious, I think, but they don't go to church too often. I don't know. I don't really talk about it with them. And no one else in my family is, well, there's, different parts of my family that are kind of religious. But I don't know how I feel personally is just like my personal belief, and I don't really share it with other people, and they don't, sometimes they'll share it with me, and I'm like, cool, hey, that's what you believe, I don't really have a response to it. I'm an adult, and I've told my mom how I felt before because she asked, and her response was, okay, well, that's how you feel, so, and I'm not going to not go to church because I don't necessarily believe everything that's being said at the pulpit, because it's a gathering place, it's a social structure. So my mom's like, hey, I want you to come to church. We're going to church for Easter. I'm like, hey, cool, let's do it. Totally cool with that. And I think there is things to be learned from the messages that are taught. However, it doesn't make sense to me that there would be a God in the sky and all of this stuff. It seems kind of Tooth Fairy-esque and like Santa Claus. But I do believe in morality and the messages that you don't even have to learn from religion. You can just learn from good parenting. And I believe that there is purpose in this life, because I know something that quote-unquote atheists have to deal with that is tough for them is they don't feel like there's a purpose, maybe, and I don't want to generalize too much, but I know that I've read it's difficult for non-believers to go to these funerals because they think that nothing happens to this person in the afterlife and their body just rots in the ground, and that's really a terrifying thought. And religion is obviously the better thing. Everyone hopes there's a heaven, but just not everybody can believe that. So I'm playing with my little headphone clip. It's making noises, but I don't have that feeling at funerals because, and hits imaginary blunt right here, I believe that you can have an afterlife within your own lifetime. I know, mind blown. Let me explain what I mean by that. I think that by talking to people and forming relationships with people and just having these small little effects on other people's lives, that you can live beyond your own lifetime while you're on the earth. And at your funeral, the more people that show up and just think to themselves, this person's death affected me, but this thing they taught me inside of both of our lifetimes when our paths crossed, I learned something from that and it means something to me, then that's you living beyond your lifetime, right? That's life past the time on earth that you had. And maybe that's not going to mean shit to me when I'm 75 and dying of cancer. I'm going to be like, hey, fuck that 24-year-old bullshit I believed. I ate 8 cookies at 1:36 a.m. in the morning when I was 24. I didn't know shit. But that's what I believe right now. So at least it's a time capsule of my thought process. And I kind of tried to explain to you guys how I feel. So if you're ever wondering, now you know. And maybe some people can relate to that. And maybe some people are like, man, this guy's really fucking crazy. I got to unsubscribe right now. He's having some type of weird mental breakdown. But let's move on to the next question. Alright, so this situation says, hey man, I have a pretty hefty problem facing me. So my mom is a very religious Muslim person and my father is an atheist. I'll spare you the details and get straight to my point. I would like to make it clear that I am not too religious myself and my mom doesn't seem to accept the fact that I do not believe in the religion. She thinks my father has poisoned my mind and puts all the blame on him, even though that's not the case. What's even worse is she's going to try to make me fast, not eat for the entire day, a religious practice for the entire summer. What do I do? Okay, so this was really interesting to me and I wanted to talk about it because it's a problem I've never had to face. And I was just thinking about how I would deal with it, and I'm going to be making a lot of assumptions, so if this isn't helpful, I'm sorry, but I'm going to assume that there is not a mutual understanding of how the other person feels in this situation. And if I were you, I would sit my mom down and have an open dialogue about Mom, why is it important for me to fast? Why do you not want me to eat? And have her explain to you the reasonings behind this, both religious and the personal reasons for her to want this from you. And also, while you're doing this, be really sensitive in the conversation and realize that it's not going to be easy because sometimes children can be more mature than adults because both children and adults are human. It's not like when you have a child, you get this magical wisdom dust that is covering your body saying, oh, I'm going to know everything now and be wiser than my child and this and that. And you would hope that would be the case because you have more years on this earth. And sometimes you are wiser than your child and they just don't realize it. But I know there's definitely instances, I'm not going to say a majority of the time, but sometimes when a child can have a better point or a better point of view than an adult, and maybe an adult can't accept that and they just have their own insecurities and feelings about things. It could be related to the fact that it makes it sound like your dad is not together with your mom anymore, something with that. And I think if you could have an open dialogue with her and maybe have her explain why she feels this way, that would really help both of you understand each other better. And maybe that can't happen at all and it's just my way or the highway. So if that's the case, you're going to have a rough summer. I would strongly suggest getting a good bicycle. If you need to sneak out in the middle of the night and go to Taco Bell, they got a late night menu that is off the charts, I've heard. Or the kids are saying on fleek. Yeah, so that shit's on fleek. And Wendy's, I think, is open later. So, I don't know. Hopefully you're not going to starve. Maybe, okay, this is, and I would never want to do this, but maybe the fasting would help you learn something about yourself. Like, take a religious element out of it. Just say, this is about willpower. This isn't about, I'm not doing this for some religious deity. I'm not doing this for my mom. If I have to do this, I'm going to fucking do it for myself. I'm going to fast better than anyone else has ever fasted. And, when I have a problem that I have to face in the near future, I'm going to be like, oh, algebra homework? Yeah, I didn't eat for the entire fucking summer, so this isn't going to be that tough. I can do this. I can run a mile. If I can eat for not this many days, I can run a mile. But honestly, if it's a real problem, I would definitely call a hotline. Google something you can call or talk to someone about it. But it would be an interesting experiment in willpower, and I think if you have an open dialogue with your parent, then you'll both learn something about the other person. So that would be really good too. And a level of understanding that would be really great and really beautiful. Last but not least, Ryan says, can we ever expect an updated sneaker video? I know you're busy, but I'm a sneakerhead too, so that was probably my favorite video. And what he's referring to, I believe, is a shoe showcase video. I think I put it on my second channel. If I find it, I'll link that in the description as well. I made a while ago, and I honestly haven't gotten that many new shoes since then. But I have been thinking lately about creating some separate type of fashion and lifestyle channel because I'm really interested in shoes and creative expression type weird shit like that I know not everyone that watches this channel would be into, so I want to put that stuff more on a second channel or more on my current second channel, Nobody Extra. So if people would be interested in that, let me know, and because I would definitely be interested in getting more shoes and doing shoe reviews, not even necessarily just to wear, just to review them and look at them. That's always interesting to me. Like, I've been on trips, and like especially, where was it? London was especially awesome because they had this, I don't even remember where we were, but we were somewhere in the town, and they had this kind of like a sneaker museum, and I remember just thinking that was so cool, and like Speedy and Hova were there, and there was like some other, I mean, there was a bunch of people, because it was a big group in the sneaker museum type thing. I don't know what it was, but there were a lot of shoes there that I thought were really cool that I thought I would never see in person. And then Flight Club in New York had all these shoes, and I was geeking out about it. And I was just thinking, man, this is really unnatural to care about these shoes that I can't wear because I'm a size 14 shoe, foot size, and I can't ever put these on my feet because they're very rare in that size. But it's cool just to touch them and see them. So if anyone would be interested in that, let me know, and maybe I'll start that up on my second channel. And I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Write anything you feel like talking about in the comments section, and then we will upload this video next week. Thank you for watching, and take care.